How to use a pneumatic drill. As in all our power tools, in this source, our air is coming through our air hose into an air compressor, and that gives the name pneuma, which is a Greek word for breath or air. It's still a power source all the same. So you remember to start with it disconnected. So that's all. I'm going to inspect my tool. I'm going to check my housing to make sure it's in good shape. I'm going to check the bit I have to make sure it's not warped or twisted or it's not too dull. But I don't have a regular conventional AC power cord. I have an air hose. So I'm going to check this air hose. You can see this one's got a little kink in it, but it's not broken or frayed, so it's still in good use. I'm going to check the little collet here at the end that releases it for connection and make sure it's articulating. Now when I get ready to use it, I'm going to make sure as always to have my proper PPE. With these, they're not too loud. They can be a little bit. It's personal choice whether you use hearing protection along with it or not. I'm going to select the bit, which I'm using the same bit that we've used for all of our wood boring projects. But this time we're going to bore in a piece of metal, so we've got to do a few things different. I'm going to select the bit. I'm going to install the bit, just like we do on the other cordless drills. I'm going to hold the bottom part of the chuck. I'm going to twist the top part, and I'm going to lock it down as tight as I can because it still has a chance to strip. All right, now I want to mark where I want to drill my hole. So we're going to drill on a piece of metal here. And as I said before, when you're working with harder surfaces, the bits have a tendency to want to walk off and move. And sometimes you can press down hard enough to get one started, but most of the time it helps to get a little dimple or a hole started. So in this case, I'm taking a nail set and a hammer. I'm laying it on my little mark. I'm gonna stand it up. I'm gonna whack it one time real hard. And it's gonna put a dimple in that piece of metal right where I want it to go. There's a little dimple right there in that mark. Set that aside. Now we're ready to start drilling, so I'm connecting my air hose. And there's a magic to this. It takes a little practice. This thing has a collet, and there's little ball bearings in here, as you can see. And they're gonna fit right in this little groove that's right here. They're gonna go past and over this little detent and fit in that groove. But you gotta pull this collet down, press it in, and when you press it, there's a fitting right here in the middle side, and you're gonna press this air inlet down a little bit so that it makes a positive connection, so the two ends are actually pressing against each other with some pressure. Push it in, and you can hear it make a little noise. When you get it all the way in, you release the collet here, and then it locks in. The little ball bearings go in place, and it's held it tight. All right, I've got my little dimple on my little mark. I'm gonna place my drill where I want to. I've got to select my forward and reverse, and in our case, we're drilling forward only. And in this case, we've got a thin piece of metal, and we have a 2x4 up under it so that we don't damage our work tables. Because when we go through this, we're going to drill into that 2x4 ever so slightly, but pull back out before we damage the table. All right, when I'm ready to drill, I'm going to drill through and pull back out. And you can see it ran and it'll take off pretty quick in that wood. But I was able to drill the hole without it walling around or taking off on me. So next step, disconnect my air supply, which is my power. Just like any tool of our power tools, anytime you have to do maintenance, change a bit, blade or disc or anything on them, or something tears up and it doesn't work all of a sudden, automatically disconnect the power source. Because once the power's gone, on hand tools, it can't hurt you. Some big industrial tools, it still can, but on all our basic hand tools, there won't be any power where it can jump up and hurt you or cut you. All right, I've got my air disconnected. Now I can grab the bottom of my little collar here with one hand, my left. I'm gonna grip around it. I'm gonna grab with my right, and I'm gonna untwist, take out my bit. Now I'm up to my maintenance side. Again, I'm gonna make sure it's clean and dry, because what happens with this, it gets a lot of oil in here. You can see I'm starting to wipe my hands off, and I've got oil in the tool. It starts picking up a lot of dust and dirt. So you've got to make sure this little inlet's clean. You don't drop these and stick them in the dirt or mud. If you do, immediately take it off and blow it out and clean it and wipe it, because dirt's an absolute enemy of this thing. It will tear this tool up really quick. So I'm gonna check clean and dry, check my air intake and exhaust, and as always, I'm gonna check my bit to make sure it's still not warped, and I'm gonna check the sharpness, and a lot of times you can feel on the edge if it's still got a little bit of a point and edge to it. That's how to use a pneumatic drill.